I want to work through the dialogue first. So let's go right through it. It should be pretty easy for some of it. Hilde says, "Hola, mamá." Everyone should know then that mama is mother and the daughter is Hilde, and she's saying, "Hello, mother." So what does, when mama says, "Hola, mi hija," what does mi hija mean? My daughter. Good. Hello, my daughter. And what does como estás mean? How are you? Good. So then Hilde responds to the question como estás by saying what? Good. And then what? And you. Good. So technically bien does not mean good. It means well. Okay, so good and well are two different words that mean similar things. Does anyone know the difference between good and well? Like to say do good and do well do not mean the same thing. Do you know the difference? Okay. Good is an adjective and well is an adverb. Does anyone know what an adjective does and what an adverb does? Sorry, say that again. Good. An adjective describes a noun, and what does an adverb do? Describes a verb. It's an adjective, but it's not an adjective, it's an adverb, so it describes a verb. Now, adverbs also describe adjectives, and they also describe adverbs. So adverbs can describe adjectives, adverbs, or verbs, whereas adjectives describe nouns. Okay, so when I say something is good, I'm saying something, that's a noun, is good. It is of high quality. So like, this book is good. If you all want to read Jane Austen, you should read this good book, Sense and Sensibility, because it's a book, it's a noun, so I can say it is good. I would never say, you guys should really read this book, it's really well. That doesn't make sense, okay? However, when we're talking about an action, that's a verb. So we don't use good, which is an adjective, to describe an action. We use the word well to describe an action. So if I wanted to say, you are a good reader, it's because you're a reader, that's a noun, so I would use the word good to describe you. But if I want to describe how your ability in reading is, I would say you read very well, because well is an adverb that describes the action of reading, whereas good describes you, the reader. Okay, so when somebody says in this, ¿Cómo estás?, they're asking what? How are you? And then the next word is kind of absent. But how are you what? How are you doing? Which is a noun? Adjective? It's a what? A verb, right. Now, in this case, in Spanish, ¿Cómo estás?, the verb is to be, which is what we're learning today. Estar. So how are you being is what it literally means. So being is a verb. So she responds with the word well, bien. The word for good is bueno, but you would never say, ¿Cómo estás? Bueno. You'd never say good like that. Okay? So does everyone understand the difference between bien and bueno? All right, good. See? Good, not well. All right, so bien. And she says, ¿Y tú? So you should know how to say the letter Y. It's when the letter Y is by itself, you say it like this. E. It's just like saying the letter E in English. E. And it means and. But when the letter Y is with other letters in a word, then you would make the sound like the Y usually makes, like a yes sound. So ¿y tú? And then mamá says, estoy bien. So she said originally, ¿Cómo estás? How are you? Estás means you are. And she responded, bien. well. Then she said, ¿Y tú? And you? So the mom says, I am well. Estoy bien. Gracias. Gracias means thank you. Anybody have any guess what oye means? Anybody look it up? What? Did you say where? Good guess, but no. It comes from the verb hear, like to hear something, and it's the command form. So she's saying, listen. Listen, like when somebody walks in, hey guys, listen up. Kind of like that. Not like as a command, like disrespectful. She's just like, oh, listen, mom. And then she asks a question. Oye, ¿dónde están todos? So, ¿dónde, Ben, does mean where. That's the word that means where. ¿Dónde? And then notice that estás, como estás, how are you? Estoy, I am. And then están, they're all bold because they're all from the same verb, which is estar. So if you notice above the green box, it says the verb estar. What does están mean? It comes from the verb to be, just like estás does and estoy. But estoy means I am. Estás means you are. What does están? Are, yes, but who? They are, right. So what does ¿Dónde están todos mean? So Ben, you said ¿Dónde means what? Where. Están are todos. What is todos? All, right. Or everyone. Where are they all? In other words, she's asking, where is everybody? And then pues is like a filler word. It's like or well, kind of like that. Okay. So papá todavía está en el trabajo. So papa is always in the work. He's always working. And tus hermanos, your brothers or your siblings, están con sus amigos, is with your friends, en el parque, in the park. So, number 1, cierto o falso? The mother and her daughter are on their way to school. Falso, bueno. Número 2, cierto o falso? The mother asks how her daughter is doing. Sí, cierto, bueno. Número 3, the daughter asks where the other family members are. Cierto, true. Y 4, most of the family is at home. Falso, bueno, bueno. Okay, so let's talk about the verb estar. Whenever you want to talk about where someone or something is located, use the verb estar. Now, estar means to be. So what you're saying is, where are they? That's the verb to be. They are. So that comes from the verb to be, right? Where are they? Where is it? Where am I? Those are all from the verb to be. And that's estar. So depending on who it is that's doing the being and wherever they are, you'll have to use a different conjugation. Estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están. So, what does estoy mean? It's in this chart format for a reason. You guys should be familiar with the chart for verbs by now. So, what does estoy mean? I am. Good. And it's what? What would we call that? What person and what number? First person singular. Good. Okay, what about estamos? What does estamos mean? We are. Good. Was that you, Ben? Good. Estamos. And what would that one be called? What person and number? Good. First person plural. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is say all these out loud in order. Estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están. And make sure that you're saying the accent in the right place where the accent mark is. So, for example, you would not say estoy, estás, está. because the accent is on the second part. Estoy, estás, está. And then it's the second to last vowel. So estamos, even though there's no accent mark, you say the accent on the A. And then estáis, están. Okay, so everybody out loud. Starting with estoy. Estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están. Ok, otra vez. Estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están. Okay, good. There are two verbs in Spanish that mean to be. In English, we only have one. I can say, you are in my classroom. That's location, which is what it said, right? Whenever you want to describe where someone is, use the verb estar. But I can also say, you are nice. I could say, you are American, or you are Hawaiian, or you are ugly. But I wouldn't say that of anyone here. But the point is that there are different ways that we can use the verb to be in English, and they all come from the same verb in English. But in Spanish, there's two verbs, to be, and those examples I gave would use the two different verbs depending on which one. So, estar, ser is used to describe characteristics or to identify someone, and estar is used to describe feelings and location. So make sure you know the difference between ser and estar, and we're going to practice with ser more on another day. But for now, all I want you to know is this sentence right here. Two sentences. Ser is used to describe characteristics or to identify. Estar is used to describe feelings and location. One helpful way that can help you remember which is which. Ser is the permanent. Estar is the temporary. Okay, so characteristics and identifying who you are, that doesn't change. Okay, where you're from will always be where you're from. Even if a new place you call home, you'll likely always say, I'm from somewhere. That's a characteristic about who you are. So you would use ser, and it's basically more permanent. Okay, estar has to do with more things that are more temporary, like your feelings, how you feel today. So an example would be, if you are sick today, then you would use estar. If you are boring because you're a boring person, then you would use ser. It describes who you are. So another one, if you want to describe what you're like, and I want to say Tanner is boring, I would say Tanner es, which comes from ser. Tanner es aburrido, which means boring. But if I wanted to say Tanner is not boring, he's just bored, in other words, feelings, he's feeling bored today, I wouldn't say Tanner es aburrido from ser. I would say Tanner está aburrido, which means Tanner is bored. So aburrido means bored or boring, depending on which verb you use. So that's just another example of the difference between ser and estar. Okay, what I'd like you to do next is look over the vocab on this next chart that talks about different prepositions. There are some helpful prepositions to use when describing location, because remember this lesson is about the verb estar, which means what? To be. Good. And it has to do with feelings and what? Location. Good. So these prepositions help describe location. They are next to, near, underneath something, behind something, in something, on top of, in front of, between, outside of, or far. Every one of those prepositions has to do with location, so you would use the verb estar with all of these prepositions. And I want you to know the Spanish translations for each of those prepositions. And sometimes there's double, just like, and going both ways. So for example, the first one means next to. If you want to say next to, you could say al lado de, or you could say junto a. But then, so there's two Spanish versions for the same English phrase, but the English phrases in or on have one Spanish, so it can go both ways. Take a moment, look that over, And then you can get started on the homework, which, let me double check that I have the right one. Okay, yeah. So the homework is activity 5, 6, and 8. But does anybody have any questions about what anything means from the dialogue, what the verb estar means, how to say the different conjugations, estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están, what any of those conjugations mean, or what any of the prepositions mean either? Any questions about any of that? Yes, Dan. Yes, you may. Okay, go ahead and start on the homework, activity 5, 6, and 8. And if you have any questions, then please let me know.